Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of BLS. Today, building with Kin, the first in the series with my friend Chow Tran. Chow, how you doing, man?
Good. Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
You're more than welcome. For those of you new checking in, and I guess this will be quite a few today, Chow is one of the residents of my stream. He's been on like 25 or 20% of the stream. And we're gonna build today with the new web SDK for Kin. And to give a little context, Chow, what do you know about the blockchain?
Zero. I have zero. So I'm gonna have some questions for you. Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. So we with Kin Foundation, for those of you that don't know, I'm working with Kin Foundation as technical advisor. And one of the goals of the Kin Foundation is to make usage of Kin easy. The way I like to call it is we have a no excuse SDK. So I think a developer could not find an excuse not to integrate it, at least not a technical excuse. So this is what we're going to do today. Chow has set up a React app, and we're going to use React. The current SDK also supports Vue apps and Angular apps. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to work hard to try and make it work for any JavaScript system. But at this moment, these are it. So we're going to dive right into it. And I'm going to show the screen of Chow here. And this is his editor. So for those of you new to the channel, we have a topic called show and tell. And generally, this is where people like Chow come on the screen and they show and tell about their products. And I'm going to type it in. So there I'm basically the subject. I'm going to make sure that we're also in the screen. Let me quickly make that happen. Yeah, there we are. So normally the system is a bit different than basically Chow navigate and I will drive. So I will do the typing and Chow will tell me what to do and where I'm failing. And now we're going to do the exact opposite. So awesome. Before we start, I would like to point attention to one website that is pretty essential at this moment to go to, and I invite you, Chow, to open this. This is kintegrate.dev, and it's a community website that I built together with a few other members of the community. And in kintegrate.dev, we have a list of practical tutorials for all of the SDKs that we have. So on the sidebar, you can see the tutorial section. There's a getting started for all of the Android, Go, iOS, Node, Web, and Python SDKs. And we have starter kits for all of them. So if you're really in a rush and your manager asks you to integrate Kin like today, best bet is to go to the web section here, download your favorite framework. I think the web has 3 links to Angular, React, and Vue, the starter kit section. And yeah, this is the fastest way to get started, is to go to this project and follow instructions here. So if you're just really in a rush, we've been in 4 minutes and I already gave you away, like this is the fastest way. Now, we're gonna go ahead and basically do what's in the tutorial. And I would like you to open the tutorial so we just copy paste stuff so I don't have to spell out package names and such. So if you go back to the previous page and we're gonna go back to the tutorial section. Yeah, there you go, web tutorial. So this is it. And as with most SDKs, as with most packages, first thing you do is install your dependency. So I think you're using npm. So you can do the npm install and then pick up that package. And that's at kin SDK/client.
So is this typeset?
It is. It's all written in TypeScript. So
awesome.
You should have a fairly easy time working with it. It does also work in plain JS, but you don't have the nice experience.
Right. So while this is running, I have a question for you. Now that I download Kin SDK client, so I'm ready to do some to work on some Kin stuff. But what kind of applications that you would use like a technologies like Kin for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Kin is a digital currency, and that's the easiest way to see it. So you can use it in any app where you would use a currency, but probably at this moment in time, it's not something you would use for, say, an invoice app or an online store for general purpose. It's not something where my mom would do shopping or buy her clothes, for instance. And I guess same for your relatives. So it's very popular for apps and games. And this is basically a great choice. If you have an in-app ecosystem and you want to build an in-app economy, you can definitely use Kin for this. And one of the things that sets it aside with other currencies or with other in-app economies, if you will, is you can share between apps. So you can earn Kin in one app and send it over to a wallet in your other app and spend it there. And this is kind of nice because some apps have better spend opportunities and other have better earn opportunities. It kind of depends on what you're after. If you play an online game, for instance, you might win stuff, but you also might spend Kin for collectibles or new levels or armor or stuff like that.
So anything that kind of like microtransactions in the applications would people has been doing like fake points,
exactly,
fake app points and stuff like that. Now you can just integrate directly with this cryptocurrency
exactly
SDK.
Yeah, cool. Exactly. So it has, it's exactly the thing, what we like to call fake internet points. The stuff you win on Reddit is just a number in a database. And with Kin, it has actual value. And you can take these points out the app where you gain them, where you earn them, and move them towards the other one. So it's microtransactions. Other things you can think about is, for instance, having a business that would motivate their workers to fill profile or to motivate their workers to, let's say, give a rating of somebody else. And the more activity you gain, more Kin. And so, you can, for instance, say to an employee, you can gain Kin here. You can donate it to some cause. So there's a lot of constructions possible.
So any gamification that you can think of.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. So like follow-up questions. So you mentioned that Kin is a cryptocurrency, and there are many different cryptocurrencies out there. Why would one go with Kin instead of the other?
That's a great question. So there's, I think the last time I checked, there's more than 8,000 that are listed as being active cryptocurrencies. So that's a huge amount. This is on CoinMarketCap. Kin has a few things that sets it apart. First of all, it's free to use. There's no fees in transactions, in creating wallets. It's zero fee for the developer and for the end user. So if you send Kin from one person to another, you will receive one Kin and nothing less, and everything's paid for. In contrary, a lot of classical, I'd say these things are 10 years old, but classical blockchains like Bitcoin or Ethereum, this is a big difference. So you pay fees in order to make the transaction, and the more it's being used, the more expensive it gets. So if I like how your face is like, huh? Why? Yeah, this has to do with you're basically buying a piece of the network transaction, and if the network is more congested, you need to pay more in order to get your transaction done rapidly. This is like Ethereum. Right now, if you want to send $1 Ethereum value, you might even pay $50 fees. So that's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and now Kin is free for the end user. Kin runs on another blockchain, which is called Solana, and Solana has fee. And the way it works is that if you transact Kin through their Kin API layer, the one that we're going to talk about today, the Kin Foundation actually covers these fees for you. So this is it hides away all the layers, including eventual costs of the underlying blockchain. And it's the foundation that runs this, and it's in the foundation's interest that this is free for them to use it. So there's a whole calculation on why that is. So it's free to use. The second one that's super important, it's fast. It's lightning fast. We're going to see today that transactions are 1 or 2 seconds. It's in the other wallet, often half a second if it's there. And it has to do with how the blockchain works. So I think we can dive right into it. And if you can open your browser so we can check actually what the app is.
Yep. So hold on. All right. So what we're going to build today?
What are we going to build today? Yeah, that's a great question. I think we didn't really think about it yet. We didn't really discuss this. So why don't we let people in the audience say what we should give a go at building? There's a ton of people in the audience. I'm super happy to see you all. But yeah, give us ideas. I'll keep an eye on the chat while we do the first things. Because what I envision for the Kin Web SDK and most other SDK, it's basically a 5-step process.
Okay.
And I'm gonna name the steps, and we're gonna go over them. So first step is you have to create a key pair, and your key pair is basically your private key. You can see it as your password, and you need this private key in order to sign your transactions and to do operations on the blockchain on behalf of you. Now, one of the things that's important with this private key is that you actually want this key to be in the owner's hands and not in the owner of the website. So we could make a system, we can build a system where the key is in the database of the website, but that's not perfect because you can consider that your website is now actually functioning like a bank where you're holding fees of somebody else. In cryptocurrency, there's a famous expression that says, not your keys, not your crypto. If you don't own your private key, it's potentially yours, but if the bank gets hacked or if the site gets hacked or the database leaks, somebody finds your key, it's no longer your crypto and you lost it. Now with the Web SDK, we're moving this all to the browser. And actually we're gonna leave it up to the browser to store it. So you can already think of where would you store it in the browser. It's like local storage, IndexedDB, Web SQL.
Yeah.
But at least not going to be on the server side. So we're going to build a fully client-side application where the client owns the keys. So that's the first thing. We need to create the key pair. That's a one-off step. You do this once per app, once per user, basically. Second thing we need to do is create an account on the Kin blockchain. So now we created this private key, and we need to say, hey, Kin, the public key that belongs to this one, I want you to create this account for me. And if we create the account on the blockchain, now we can actually participate with it, send money to it, make transactions, etc., or send Kin to it. Then the third step that we're going to do is we're going to check the balance, which is basically some sort of verification. Is this account created on the blockchain? We should get a balance of 0. So initially you start with 0 balance. Then the fourth step is something we only do in test development situations, which is to request an airdrop. And an airdrop is literally dropping Kin out of the air into your account. So we have something to play with because we're gonna build this all on the test network. We're not gonna use Kin with real value. It's all the same, but it's just a valueless system and you can just ask free Kin and interact with it and develop with it. Almost any blockchain has a free version of their network, and they have a free testnet where you can request airdrops and do this. Now, with all these things in place, we created a key pair, created an account, we checked our balance, and we have an airdrop, and now it's time to make an actual transaction. And I'm going to ask you to donate some of these Kins to my donation account. So I'm going to convince you to do that.
Yep.
So these are the 5 steps, and what we can maybe do is for each of the steps add a button and a little space where we can have some output. So because I think it's generally going to be each time we refresh the page, we need to create a new wallet, create a new account, because we don't have any storage mechanism right now. So there's a few things we can do. I think first and foremost, let's initialize a new version of the client, because the Kin client is what we use to work with. So you can say,
here.
Yeah, we're going to import from @Kin SDK/client. And the thing we're going to import are 2 things. One is Kin client with capital K. There you go. And we're going to import Kin test, which is basically a data structure that defines the network structure. And in order to interact with this, I would say inside of the component, you can say, or above, if you will, it doesn't really matter, const Kin. And you new up a version of the client. Yeah, just do it out there. You say new Kin client, and you pass in the network object. So you pass in Kin test here. There you go. Perfect. Oh. And now you set up Kin. You can interact with it. So there's 2 lines of code. You initialize Kin. You're ready to go. Now, we need a place to keep our key pair. And I would say let's use state for this, probably, just in order to have this. And I think there is you can use a generic called wallet. And the generic wallet comes from, there you go, comes from Kin SDK client. And if you like, you can initialize this actually inside the arrow here and do this arrow function trick that I got taught a few months back. And you want to use the create wallet method. Create wallet, there you go. And this takes one of three options: create, import, or watch. Now we want to create a wallet because we don't have an existing key to import, and we don't have anything to watch. So you can add wallets on watch mode. Just check what happens. The blockchain is a public database, if you will. So you can check all interactions. If you know the amount, if you happen to know the blockchain address from your coworker and they get paid in crypto, you can see exactly what your coworker gets paid each month. So this is kind of an issue, maybe. And then start of line 7, we can give it an identifier. So I generally call this my account. It's a bit interchangeable, wallet or account, but I like account. Now, and we can say set new account if we want to refresh and do the same thing. I think for now we can just leave this as is.
Okay.
And what we can do is actually print it, show it in the interface, and just do basically like a JSON stringify. And I guess you need to
React. Okay.
React. Yeah. Okay, and here we can just do JSON stringify, and we pass in the account. And if we go back to the browser, yep, there you go. We should see, if we refresh, this should output a now. Now, here's the thing: global is not defined, and this is a thing that we need to fix. And for this, I thought I have it ready for you, but I'm going to grab it right now. I'm going to go and I'm going to go and paste you the code that you need to do. So this is one of the things that's not perfect, and this is why it's still not in a public version yet. But we need to set two things: global and buffer. And I pasted it here in our private chat. If you see the string, you'll not be surprised. You'll be like, okay, this is actually something you've done before, here in the private chat of Restream. And I generally add this in the polyfills section. So in the polyfills, here we're going to actually say window.global is window, global buffer is require buffer. This has to do with how Kin communicates with the backend, which is currently a binary system. So messages get translated into binary, passed into binary over the wire, and get decoded on the other hand, which for us web developers is kind of uncommon. Now, if you do this and you go back to the browser, I think this should render normally. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the first gotcha. You need to define buffer on the global object, which in some places is window, some places not. Now, and actually for my Angular friends that are watching here, on Angular, this is even further broken. And at this very moment, you need to patch something in Node modules. I hate to say it, but it's true. I couldn't get around it. I have a personal bounty open. You can get $250 worth in Kin if you can fix this for me without patching Node modules. So just going to put it out there. If you want to earn $250 worth, today's worth of Kin, go fix it for me. So, so that's there because yeah. So that's there. I'm going to quickly answer a question, and that is a noob question here, as Philip says himself. What is the coding language you're using? Ciao. Go ahead. What are we using?
We're using TypeScript or JavaScript, basically, and we're using a library called React.
There you go. There you go. And let me see. How can I set a custom destination address on the SDK? We'll get to this. I think destination is on step 5 when we actually send. And yeah, if I forgot any other questions that you really want to ask, just ping me again and I'll show that. So first step is done. This was fairly easy, I think. Now, second step that we need to do is actually create our account in the blockchain. And in order for this, I think we want to have a button so we can actually trigger it and check the output.
Yeah.
So
right.
What you might want to do is actually create a little button / output thingy, or we can just duplicate it for now. Let's call this create account. Yeah, create account. And this needs to have a click handler. And we're going to just say click, on click is create account. On click handler is, okay. Now, what we want to do here is use the Kin SDK to create the account. So we're going to say kin dot create account.
Create account, okay.
And we pass in the secret. Secret lives on account. So we say account.secret.
All right.
There we are. Now this, and I guess this is TypeScript strict mode complaining. So I guess you can just exclamation mark it.
Yep, let's do that.
Now this one returns a promise. And it returns a promise. And I would say await. That's probably easier way to do it. We can make the method async. And we're going to say await. And we're going to capture it. It's an array. And it's an array of result and error. And this is a very consistent thing in the API. So the first one is result and the second one is error. This is kind of like how Go works. If you ever work with Go, this is a very common structure where first one result, the first property you get back is a result, second one is an error. And what I tend to do in my Kin apps is if error, console log error. So basically we have some sort of error, we just console log it and we have an error. And there you go. And then we can do something with the result. So you could either console log it, or we can set some place where we capture the result and render it in the
Can we just do another use state?
Yep, we can do another use state. You'll end up with 4 of them if we do this. So I would say step 1 or step 2 result, for example, and capture this. Let's first check if it works, and with the console open to see if we have any strange things that we need to fix. And if this works, we have the console open on the right-hand side here. Create account.
Let me bump the size a little bit here.
Yeah.
There we go.
So and if you do create account, and this might take, there you go, bam, create account. And this account, this thing is the same value as your public key.
Yeah.
This is not a surprise. Now what you can do, and I'm actually going to share the address with you. We can check on the blockchain what this account looks like. And I'm going to paste the link. And if you open this link in your browser, you will go to the blockchain explorer. This is the underlying blockchain we're using, the Solana Explorer. We might at some point soon have a custom one. Okay, and what I want you to do here is go to the big green button on the top right corner and click the last option, custom. And I'm going to paste in the address, which is this one. But this is kind of iffy. And we want to have this address here. And if you do this, you can also say enable custom URL parameter. So the checkbox here now will stay at this URL. So if you close this, you're now looking at the Kin node of this network where Kin information is. We're on testnet. This means if you copy the public key you just received and you paste it in here, the search bar here, we should see that this thing actually got created. And we go here, there you go. It got created. The address is the first part. The owner is the second part. This is all the same. This is not by accident. This is intentionally. You can also see the mint. The mint, you can kind of think of it like who minted these tokens, who provided these ones. So it's kind of like, okay, this is Kin provided the, how in the US, the Federal Reserve is basically the mint of the US dollar. And the beauty of Kin is that it has a limit, whereas the Federal Reserve doesn't, but that's a whole other discussion. If you go here, you can see that we had a transaction. I'm actually going to get ourselves out of the screen for a second, but there in the minute, you see a minute ago, you got a transaction, this thing got added. There you go, thanks. This thing got added to the blockchain. And if you click this one, you can actually see how this is all working from a logical level. What did the blockchain do? Now, the beauty of Kin is you don't need to know this, but you can check. If you want to debug and if you want to build more advanced apps, you can absolutely figure out how does my token get created? How does it get to this chain? Who provided it? Who paid for it? But for now, for the Kin developer, you don't need to know any of this. Now, so this is kind of an insight of what is behind the scenes. What is all the things you don't need to know if you want to use Kin?
Absolutely.
But for a developer, this is pretty nice stuff because you can exactly see what happened in what order, which steps were taken, and it's an open system. So if you think you can do a similar token, you can create your own mint that creates your own tokens. Have you ever heard of the term NFT recently?
Nope.
No, NFT. So NFT stands for a non-fungible token, and NFTs have boomed in popularity. For those in crypto, they definitely know. And the simplest way I can explain it, an NFT is actually a coin on the blockchain of which only one exists. And it's used in real life as a token of validity because let's say an artist has a painting and they say, I'm going to sell this painting through an NFT. They're going to mint one coin of one token and you are the owner. And if you have it in your wallet, then you are the owner. Now, how can you prove that you're the owner? You can make another transaction with the same private key, which only you have, and people can see that you're actually the owner of this asset. So it's, and Daniel here, one of the community members here, actually built a project around NFTs called Creatures, where they give you a creature. There's only one unique creature. You're the owner. You can trade these things. And the idea is kind of like there will be an ecosystem of these things around. So it's kind of a side note here, but the idea is you have a token, and where from Kin there's like 1 trillion tokens. From your NFT, there will be only one. So it's very unique. And I can really see how this in the future will be like a legal form to transfer assets from one person to another.
I see.
But we're kind of sidetracking here. So yeah, but this is a handy utility for us to verify if things actually go the way we hope they are. I think we can go back to our application and we can go and take step 3, which is check the balance. Now for the check balance, we definitely want to have some output in the screen, because this is something we're going to trigger a lot. We're going to say create account, check balance at 0, request airdrop. Now the airdrop should have the airdrop count. Then we do payment, it should have less, etc., etc. So I think we can set up a use state for the balance and set balance. And I think the easiest way to do it is probably just a string. Set it to an empty string, and we're going to JSON stringify it all, because there's different in shapes, and React can get really mad at you if you do this wrong. So let's do this right for React. Let's make it easy for them. And then in downside in the app, I think we can safely, now we want to have our account here because we want to be able to look it up. So duplicate line 29 and let it print balance and say balance right before of it, for instance. So we want to, no, I think we want to JSON stringify the whole, no, we're going to JSON stringify the result. That's fine. That's fine. This is great.
Okay.
So balance, and we want to have a button that says check balance. So we're going to duplicate the button and have a check balance button. Yeah, there we go. Good old break. Check balance, and then the onclick handler can be onclick handler balance, for instance. Oh, there we go. Check balance. This is also going to be an async operation.
All right.
And this is going to be the same construct. So you have const, result and error is await. And kin.check get balances. And balances plural. One account can have various balances. So your account is like your bank account, and your balances can be checking, saving. Maybe you have a different currency in your bank account. Mm-hmm. We can have different balances in one account on Solana. Now, this asks public key. Why is it public key? Any idea?
Absolutely not.
Don't you want a private key for checking balances? Well, here's the thing.
Well, yeah.
Blockchain is public. So we don't need the private key to be able to check a balance. We can just check balance from whatever account because blockchain is public. or at
Right,
least
just like what you said. Just like what you said, I can just check the account of my coworker if I know
yeah, yeah,
his or her key.
exactly, yeah. So in some cases, you might not want to share your public key with a lot of people, or you might want to have two accounts, one for the secret stash and one for the. But yeah, this is something you really need to be aware of. The information, at least in the cryptocurrency space, are generally public ledgers. Now, nothing prevents you from having in your network, in your company network, a private blockchain where nobody can access. But by default, the idea of a blockchain is it's a public ledger. Trusted people can write to it. Nobody can change stuff. So it's append only. Think of it as a Git repository where you can just add commits. They all chain together. You cannot change one of them without changing all the rest. And that's basically,
Correct.
if you try to trick it, you will see it because all the hashes and all these IDs will get changed accordingly. So This is a very similar concept. Now, result of check balance, we can just pass it in our set balance. So we can say set balance, and this is where we JSON stringify the result. And do it with the null 2 if you like, so that it's at least a bit legible. There we go. And now we can say the second button you add can execute the check balance stuff. There we go. And I think we're ready for step 3, to check out step 3. So we can go here and there we go, another render. So we got the account and gonna do check balance. And this should give you back an array. And it says,
we have to create an account first.
Yes, because this refreshes every now and then. So create an account.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then there you go, check balance.
There we go.
Here you go. You got the balance and 0. How long did it take? 2 seconds? 3 seconds?
No, it's not even that long. I mean, can we check the network request?
Sure. And just refresh it. Do a whole refresh and put it on XHR. And we got a new key pair. Refresh it all, XHR, create account. Pending, bam, done.
Half a second.
Half a second. Okay, creating an account on the Kin blockchain costs half a second. Then check balance. There you go. Get account info.
Not even 100 milliseconds.
Okay, cool. So you can definitely see how this can interact in an app without actually interrupting. You don't need a lot of loading screens.
Absolutely.
You can do like a like in a social network. Click like, cost you a kin. I bet you're going to be more careful and not just like anything like, B-man shares something like. No. You're going to think about, is this share actually worth 1 kin for me? Or just because I like the guy? You know,
Yep, absolutely.
Which arguably leads to a higher quality social network. If you would have weighted likes and you would actually say the person sharing stuff only gets liked because people actually add value to it, you can say this is a very valuable post. Now, I'm sure it would reduce my popularity, so I'm glad that Twitter is not like this. But there are social networks where you can kind of use it this way.
Yeah.
So we did 3 steps, and this is normally the get balance thing is something that you would repeatedly do. Let's say if you have a counter how many kin on the top right corner, this get balance is something you continuously do. Currently, for the web version, we don't have a way to do this via WebSocket or something. But if you have a mobile Android SDK or an iOS SDK, this is absolutely possible. There's you can actually set up receivers on Android and iOS because it's working with gRPC in the back. And you actually get a message if something happens on your client. So on the mobile device and you use the native operators, you just get pinged when something happens on your account, which is pretty sweet.
Right.
Because then
so
you
now,
can do another. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like since you mentioned the native SDK of like Android and iOS, let's say if I want to build a React Native app, so do I use that or do I use the web SDK? Because it's it's JavaScript, right?
Yeah, I haven't tried the web SDK in React Native. However, I've also worked on a React Native SDK.
Okay.
And it's actually also in beta, and we might do a session on this at some point. It's just that React Native is a bit more tricky with dependencies and all that, and it's currently quite a bit of work, too much work according to me, to integrate it. So I cannot just explain it without cursing for React Native to be as it is. So
do you think something like capacitor would be better
I think
if you
capacitor can
want to
use
support
the
like
web.
cross-platform?
Yeah, I think capacitor can use the web version.
Hmm.
At least, I mean, let's say I see Ionic. I could see Ionic do the web version. I definitely gonna reach out to Nathan Walker if they wanna help get a native script version of the SDK out. But these native SDKs are all gonna be wrapping around the Kin Android and Kin iOS packages.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's not as straightforward as you would think. It's not just a regular API, and it has to do with how signing works and how these messages get passed along.
Absolutely.
Now, next thing we want to do here is actually, normally you would say step 4 is create a payment, but you don't have any kin, and I could send you something, but I think for the sake of the demo, it's nice to add our airdrop functionality.
Yep.
And what we want to do is actually create a button, and the button is going to say request airdrop.
So it's a request airdrop.
Yeah,
One
that's
word like that.
Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
And we want to have a method that says request airdrop. Now I'm not even gonna spell how this is gonna how the UI is gonna be, because I think this is predictable enough for you. After having done the first 2 interactions, I think you can do the third with the blockchain
Let's
as well.
try that. So can dot request airdrop.
There you go.
I'm going to do an account public key again.
Why would it be public key here?
Again, can is blockchain is public.
Yeah. And this means on the test network, you can airdrop other people's accounts. In fact, it's not uncommon if you have an idea on a blockchain that you get, there you go, you're going to do fancy stuff here. Chow is a really fancy developer, friends. He is way fancier than myself.
So we're going to do, again, somewhere between 100 and 50 kin.
Yeah, I would say a bit more. It's always nice to be big in the numbers.
Let's do that then.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to have a random amount here. And
there we go. So this one will give us somewhere between 500 and 1,000 kin, randomly.
There we go. Yep. And this takes a string value, and this has to do with potentially large amounts. Yeah, potentially large amounts of kin cannot fit inside a number in JavaScript. So we're doing some calculations here, and this is just easier to say it's a string, and we're gonna calculate it for you.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm just gonna just console log the result and see if I can figure out if I can set the correct stuff.
Go ahead, do it.
Request airdrop. Just do a little bit fancy.
Fancy green button.
Yep.
There we go. Now, what I generally do with this, I generally restart all the time. So I go over the flow each time again. Just why not?
Create account. Yep.
Yep.
Now this time is way faster. I want to check the balance. And let's request the airdrop. And of course, I need to check.
Okay. Return. Okay.
So the result is just okay.
Yep. If you have any suggestions, what you would expect here, I'd love to hear it. This is feedback I want to hear. What would your expected?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was expecting to get the updated account with the new balance.
You need to check balance again.
Okay.
So if you hit check balance, it should now say you got 948. So in my apps, what I generally automatically do after request airdrop, I call the check balance again.
I see.
Just right after
do that.
Yeah. There we go. Just update the balance, and this is basically your call operator. And now we have another public key or another public private key pair. So we do create account, check balance.
Check balance. There we go. Request airdrop.
Request airdrop. There you go. And you can request airdrop again. And
nice.
You're gonna get rich this way, Chow.
Cool.
Yeah. So now that we got money in our Kin account, freshly created, freshly
Can,
minted.
can we check? Can we check the Explorer
Go ahead.
with
Make my day.
with this public key? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check the
there we
Explorer,
go.
and there you go. Yep. There we go. Yep. So
And
it's
we
there.
can check for all the transactions over here.
Yeah. It's a few seconds ago is when it happened, and you can see if you open one of these transactions, you can actually see where it came from. Who was generous enough to give you this? And if you go down a little bit further, you can see token balances. It's up a little bit in the section. Here you go, token balances. Now, the one that starts your account is the second one here. Your token account is the one that starts with BX blah blah blah. Now the other one, look at the balance it has. That's 181. That's like I think 899 trillion tokens. I'm not good at freedom units, particularly.
It's 8,000 billion. Yeah, 8 trillion.
Yeah, right. Testnet, so you don't have monetary value to it, but this would make you. This would get you along.
How much? Okay, how much 8 trillion can worth today?
Well, if you want to check it, copy it. Go to CoinMarketCap, coinmarketcap.com, and search for Kin. And search for Kin, and there's a calculator here. Now, one of the things I can already tell you, there's on the side, on the right-hand side, on the bottom of your screen. So if you scroll down, there's the calculator, and here you can.
Hold on.
Here you can paste in the Kin. However, it's above the Kin price statistics. So you have
Kin
a little
price.
There you go.
Oh, right here.
So you can paste in this, but I don't think it will let you paste.
I did not. Oh, come on, man.
And I think the number is too big. And I need to actually reach out. We need to reach out to CoinMarketCap because they only support 12 digits. So what I do in this account, just fill it up with zeros.
So this is 900. So this is 9 billion.
Fill it up all the way with zeros and add one in your head. Do it times 10. So this one that we have right here is, if I'm correct, this is 85 million US dollars, but we are missing 1 0.
So 580
million dollars. This would get you a nice Tesla.
Absolutely, I can buy all the Teslas I want.
Yeah, you could buy probably all the Teslas in existence. So yeah. And of course, like if you're building a real app and you want to have people give the feeling of a monetary value, what you would do is probably have an API that has currencies. There's few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that maybe like a banner of like monetary or USD value of Kin today, something like that.
Maybe what you can do is go into the package and check if you can find something with prices, because I might have added a little nugget there. Because I thought, so if you go all the way up to the the import, sorry, and in the client SDK, if just, I think it's called get prices. There you go, get prices. I actually got a method in here that will get you the price. And this returns the price of Kin at this moment. And you can console log it just to give it check it out for a second. And its price at this very moment, it gets updated each minute, I think, or maybe even several times a minute. But in your app, prices today for the Kin token is, well, BTC is such a small value of BTC because Bitcoin is very expensive per unit and Kin is very cheap. This difference is huge. You can also see the US dollar value, and you can also see the change in each currency. So Kin got 15% cheaper.
This is okay. So this is in percentage.
Yeah, percentage difference per day, and USD value. But the USD value, this is what you can actually use. So the USD value is what you probably multiply your balance against to get a different price.
Right. So is this like a real number or something like that here?
This is real value.
This is just real values.
Market value. Okay. Now market value in crypto, and we're digesting a little bit. Market market values in crypto are not a constant. It's depending on which market you are, because one exchange can sell it a little bit cheaper than the other exchange. But yeah, this is a number that will update all day. And in what I do in most of my apps, I add a little refresh button. And with the refresh, I refresh the price. I refresh your balance. I do the metrics again, and I show you have 5,000 kin, which is 20 cents, for instance.
Yep.
So this is a little nugget, and I was seeing myself implementing this in any app that I was building. And trust me, I built a lot of apps over the last weeks with this SDK. Now, so yeah, this is something you definitely could.
I don't see prices get. Oh, wait, never mind. I lie. Sorry. There we go. Price sets price. Let's do this. So let's have a bit of React.
Yep, gonna do some React here.
Let's do ID of set interval. Let's have it do every minute.
For example.
Oh, sorry. I'll wait to. Why is he yelling at me?
I think you need to add something into the callback.
Do we? So.
Or don't we?
Am I not using the right use effect? Oh.
Where is it coming from? Is there another one? Duplicate declaration? Where is it? Use effect.
Oh.
There you go. You implemented it. Yeah, that's not going to work. Clear interval ID. Yep, there we go. So what Chow set up here, for those not familiar with React, is an effect that will automatically update the price each minute.
Yep. So now I have.
We probably want to do it initially as well. So initial price, because right now I think initially it's empty.
Oh yeah. How do we get the
a method?
Initial.
Just do a method and do this set prices stuff, or you can do it. I don't know. How do you do this?
I don't know. I don't know if this function like accept.
You can do an inline promise and just .then it, I think. I'm not sure. Or do another use effect if prices is empty, just set it, or in the same use effect maybe.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It should be fine. Oh.
Yeah. If we don't have a price.
If we don't have price, let's do get price, and we will set the price here.
There we go. Yeah.
And we only do it once.
So this is once, and then
do that. Oh,
then we can display it actually.
We can display it right here.
Yep.
With JSON.stringify.
There we go.
Prices. No, number 2.
Yep. There we are. So now we have the price, and we should see this update. So let's right now it's 616. 40616, and this should update at some point. I think we can already start building on the submit payment method, because that's pretty hard compared to the rest. But yeah, great question from Kin NFT. How do I check my own balance? You pass in your own public key. It's a simple.
Do you want to show code for that?
I think we actually do this here on line 50. We basically say await kin.get balances, and you pass in the public key. Now, there is an edge case here. There is an edge case where your balance is actually indifferent than your public key. But most situations, if you use this SDK as we do, this is not an issue. So there might be an edge case, and we're going to document this. It always says token not count. I'm using my own address or my kin address, but it always says token not account. There's another edge case. I'm really sorry. At sometimes it might take up to 15 seconds to create your account. So what I do in a real wallet that I'm building is I actually have a helper method that says ensure account. which runs the create account and then waits till it gets back your balance 4 or 5 times. So it's really, really sure that it exists on the blockchain. But for most apps, you don't need it, because for most apps, when you start it, you create an account for the user and then you let the user interact. And at the time you're actually going to make a payment, you're definitely sure that the thing is there. So step 5, last step, probably potentially most important for the whole system.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's making
but good that it's good if you cannot like submit any transactions.
Yeah. So let's create a method and call it submit payment, for instance.
Oh,
so
you mean
either way, you can go both sides. Now this is going to be super similar, and this is going to be exactly the same as the other ones, and the API is hopefully going to be the same.
Something wrong with my IntelliSense.
Restart TypeScript servers, maybe.
I got just do a quick start TypeScript service here.
Yeah. And this is the one where you definitely need IntelliSense, because this is the one that takes an object and not just a key.
Yeah, it's like it's not. You know what?
How about, is there an error in your?
Oh, because I was having this one, so let's do cons. Oh wait, it's like it's not. Like, sorry, I'm gonna have to do this.
Okay, we're gonna quickly restart the dev. It's also funny for other devs to see that this happens to all of us. It's not just you; it's all of us. We all have these issues at times. Okay, so you're just gonna run it outside.
Yeah.
Now this is definitely, I mean, this is not really SDK specific, but the issues that were just mentioned by KinNFT, having the not token account or check on balance, this is something that I don't really consider it 1.0 yet. It's still in beta, and we really want to have feedback from people. So if you're a web developer and you want to work with this stuff, give me feedback. Reach out on Twitter. I should be pretty responsive. Come hang out in the Discord. It's linked in the website kintegrate.dev. I'm going to put it on here for a second. So on this website that I listed here, there's links to Discord, I think on any page, but at least the homepage, and you should be able to join the Discord and talk to people about integrating this stuff. If it doesn't work for you, just ping me and I'll walk you through it. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom, and I want this to succeed very, very bad. So that's that. There we go. Await, IntelliSense, Kin.
There we go.
Now, okay. What's that? Submit payment. Beauty. Now this takes an object, and this object. Let's start with the minimal amount of things we need to do, and let's think about this for a second. So, in order to make actions, basically write operations on your behalf, we need to have your secret. So this is the first thing I always pop in. It's an object, so order doesn't really matter, but this is your account.secret. Now, the second thing that's essential is the amount. So what amount are we going to send? Now, you could do some fancy stuff with random again, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I mean, we might, and we might see what happens if you don't have enough balance, because you might not airdrop enough for the amount that you want to send. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that.
Let's do that. Let's try to break it. So we do this random amount to string.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is string. Now, we need to have, if you want to send funds to somewhere, you need to have a destination. And I'm going to send you my destination, my donation address, actually. And that is donation. And it starts actually with don8. If anybody wonders why I picked this address, this is my donate address. But it also looks like Donald. So this donation account has the nickname Donald. So you're going to donate to Donald. And we need the last thing. So remember how your account can have various balances. This is the token account we're talking about, and I need to abstract this. This needs to be balanced, but you need to figure out which of the balances I'm going to get it from. Now, this is your public key. In this app, this is going to be your public key. But think again, and if you do your normal, there you go. If you do a normal bank operation and you want to send me money, you're going to figure out, do I want to use checkings or savings, or do I want a dollar account?
Right.
This same idea.
Absolutely. Okay, got it.
Now, line 71, we can do our normal error result and error handler. And we can say if error const.log error. Now, the result you're going to get back, if it's not an error message, you're going to get back the transaction ID, the TX ID. Now, if we want to get all fancy, we can link to the Explorer. But for now, just print out the ID, and we're going to search for this ID in the Blockchain Explorer. Yep, transaction ID, it's going to be this. And we're going to go another button, that's submit payment.
Which is going to be funny. We're going to have submit payment. It's going to be danger.
It's a red one. Yep, very good. And there we are. And we can go back to the browser. We can do a hard refresh. Just get rid of all the stuff.
Yep.
And we can
see
price change, right?
Yep.
So let's go.
It goes up. It goes up.
And yeah, it's getting valuable. Yeah. While we look at it. So let's open up the network tab so we can get an ID.
Absolutely, yeah. How fast it is.
How fast. So if you now do escape, so we can get this one and we can get the console. There you go. So we have network tab set up. We're clear. Okay. Create account on the blockchain. There you go.
All right. So 300 milliseconds for create an account.
Yeah.
Now we can check the balance now.
Yeah.
Did I click it?
Balance.
Yep, I did.
Yeah, and we have a balance of 0.
Yep, now we're going to request the airdrop.
There you go.
We got 500.
And now let's submit a payment.
I'm going to request another one, and then we're going to submit payment until it runs out.
Perfect.
So now let's submit a payment.
Submit a payment. There you go. Transaction ID. So you can copy this ID and actually search for it, or we can do it afterwards. But you can look at this and actually search for this in the Explorer. All the way in the top, there's an Omni search bar. You can search for anything and just click it here. Now, what you can see, and I want you to pay attention to number 5, row number 5, is confirmations. Actually, confirmation status is interesting. Finalized confirmations, max. Now, a blockchain is all about trust. And it's all about consensus. So a blockchain exists so we can have trust in a distributed system. We can trust partners. In the Solana blockchain, we need a certain amount of confirmations. If enough computers in the system agree that this is a valid transaction, that you indeed have the funds that you want to transfer to another account, they confirm. And if you have, I don't know the number, I think it's a dynamic number. I think at this moment you need like 30 confirmations. So there's 30 nodes in the network that all need to agree individually that this transaction is valid. When that's true, it's final. Like it's unlike where a credit card where you can reclaim it. This is something blockchain doesn't have the property. Now it's up to honesty of the one receiving the funds. If they think you deserve it back, you can get it back. Now this is all about trust, and this has to do and there's other ways around this where you can say, hey, I'm going to make a smart contract or a program in Solana terms, where you actually keep these funds in there, and only if we both agree, if we both sign a transaction that we agree, funds will be transferred from you and me. So there's different ways around classical problems, but one of the interesting things here is we have had max confirmation from all the nodes in the network within a few seconds. And this is super important because this means that transaction is final, cannot be reverted back. If you're the person selling stuff, after you receive these max confirmations, you can guarantee that the payment is going to be in your wallet, in your possession, and you can set free the goods. Now, compare this with PayPal. If you're a vendor and you integrate PayPal, first of all, you're not going to see your money for weeks or days, depending on the deal. But also, the person buying it can say, I'm going to object to this payment. And then you're going to get into all this dispute stuff. That's probably not in your interest as a seller. As a seller. So this is kind of another bit of background why blockchain is very, very interesting for monetary systems, why blockchain is kind of a logical solution for doing currencies, why it's definitely well suited for doing currencies, but in essence, we're creating transactions, we're writing to a public database, and we happen to have monetary value to this number of items you have. So a bit of background, but I think you can already see you don't need to know these things in order to use this application. This is already where you go into like DevTools, and yeah, you can see that 712 transaction. This was our transaction. Let's see what happens if you spend it all.
So I'm going to check balance again. Yep. So it's definitely 712. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to submit the payment. The transaction failed because of insufficient funds. Okay.
Yeah. Now, of course, the blockchain doesn't need to do a lot of confirmations to see if you have insufficient. It will most likely be a very cheap check to say, no, this is not what you can do. However, actually spending it, what you want to prevent in a blockchain is that you, as a bad actor, would send the same payment, double spend your balance at the same time. Now, there's a lot of theory about this, and there's a lot of theoretical ways. It's a very difficult problem to solve if you have like if you have an unknown number of participants and you have an unknown number of people you can trust. Because I can make a fork of Solana and put a bad network actor in there and basically say, hey, every transaction that comes from Chow, I'll allow it. I don't care if he has funds. I'm not going to check it. I'm always going to pass. Now, if we have enough of these bad actors in the network, your network's actually invalid. And it's actually, that's how you can consider a network to be compromised. So this is classically known in the blockchain space as a 51% attack. If you would own more than 51% of the network, potentially you can whitelist your own key and say any transaction will ever happen. In practice, though, this is a very, very hard and difficult thing. First of all, these networks are huge. You need a lot of computing power to actually do it. And people that are that invested in a token or in a project that want to buy all this computer power, it's most likely in their interest to just be a good actor because you receive funds for doing this. So actually being good, you're being rewarded for being a good actor in the system if you think about being a node on the network. So these are kind of background things about why we do all these things and why this is important, but also why it's safe and why you can consider if a transaction on a blockchain happens and it's guaranteed and all the nodes agree, this is something that's just true. We can all consider it being true. So still a little bit of background for something that you actually don't need to use. But yeah, I think this is the 5 operations, 5 ways to add economy to your app. And I'm super curious if you have if it inspires you. What's your thoughts? What do you think about it?
I mean, it's before this, I don't know. I don't have any idea. Because I keep seeing like stuff pop up on Twitter, like Ethereum developer. Like, is Ethereum a programming language or framework or whatever? I don't know what you're going to use something like this technology for. Yeah, I don't have any use case. I never work with one. Now it kind of makes sense that, of course, the thing that I can think about is microtransactions. Yeah. So if I build an application and even like a donate system, like you can donate me with this system.
Yeah, awesome. And there's a few practical things that make it kind of hard still at this moment. We together looked at buying some crypto, other more common cryptos like Ethereum and blockchain. And one of the hardest thing was actually getting your money in there. Like it's getting to this meme where it's like, please take my money. Like you want to spend stuff, it's kind of hard. And this is something that's still classically an issue. And if you would say, I'm going to build an online store and only accept kin, then you're going to exclude the big majority of potential clients if it's not geared toward them. So let's say you and I both like the Rubik's Cube. If you would have a cube shop online, you might accept kin as an additional payment, but you're also going to get these little nice green dollars because this is also what your landlord accepts and this is what the supermarket accepts. So I think for mass adoption, this is not a logical choice for everything, but I personally see a big use space in mobile apps and web apps. And one of the nice things that we didn't really mention But Kin has another property, and that is the Kin rewards engine. And if you're a developer on Kin, inside, let's go quickly back to your application for a second, and let's open it in the code. Because if you look at the initialization of your client, you'll see that we actually accept all the way on the top, we actually accept an object as a second parameter. And this doesn't have a lot of sense on the test network, but this takes an app index. And an app index is a number that you're going to get from the Kin Foundation. You need to stick with some certain rules. For instance, you cannot make a gambling website, you cannot sell illegal things, you cannot do illegal things. But if you're a good player and well-intended developer and you have a nice app that you want to monetize, you can actually supply for an app index, and each of your transactions will get registered by the Kin Foundation's API. And each week you will receive a payment according to the amount of activity and the number of Kin you transferred through your app. And you'll get paid in Kin. So each week, with the application form, you also pass along a public key. And if your app has enough activity, you'll get each week sent a number of Kin to this address. Now, there's a few apps in the ecosystem at this moment. There've been a few. They went, but there's still a few. And I'm not going to show it on screen here, but I advise everybody to go to kin.org, check the stats, and check what these apps make per week. And then go to CoinMarketCap and do this calculation. You get an idea. And the Kin Foundation, over the last few months, send out about $400,000 a week to several app developers. Wow. Okay. So we all developers, we can have part in this. The only thing, and I'm doing the little finger trick here, the only thing you need to do is build an app with usage. And this is hard. Like build an app that actually gets used is hard.
Absolutely hard.
But if you manage to do that, and if you make a great app and you supply and you add Kin, this can actually be a viable income source. And I've spoken to a lot of Kin developers over the last 2 or 3 weeks in my new role. I've spoken to a developer who actually lives off of the Kin they make in their app. It's his day job. And this is pretty nice. And this is a way to monetize your app without having to rely on Google or Facebook for ads, or without having to rely on a venture capital investment that basically controls.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine if there's like close up. I can imagine like ad-free application, but still provide incentive to the developers. Huge incentive.
Plus, be part of an ecosystem. So if we both have an app, it's in my benefit if somebody also downloads your app, and vice versa. So you get an ecosystem where it's not only competition and try to steal people from each other, but it's actually where you can think about how can we collaborate, how can we make shared goods, how can we make, and it's a blockchain, so we can even have an additional place where you store data.
Yeah, so let's say that my app provides service A that some people is really good at A can do to earn Kin, but they cannot do something like good with like the app that you make. Let's say your app is like a pool game. My app is like a Tetris game. Yeah. They're really good at Tetris, but they're terrible at pool, right? Yeah. But then they can play in my game, then they can go over to your game and like buy some collectibles and stuff like that to boost their chance of winning.
Yeah, exactly. And then the beauty is for the developer, it doesn't really matter if you provide spends or earns. So it's also not, you don't have to have an ecosystem. You can have an ecosystem. A lot of people spend their Kin. Maybe they buy service from a third party and you take like a percentage fee. Let's say you take 2% of options, you earn KRE, Kin Rewards Engine, and you have an app where people just only spend. So this can be a very, very interesting way. And I've had a lot of interesting conversation over the last week, and I'm dying to speak more people with ideas. And we have a lot of ideas. I'm also going to plug another project or another repo of mine, which is, I'm going to go here. It's called the App IDs. Where is it called? App Ideas. There we go. Add it here on the lower third, as how they fancy call it. github.com/kingcommunity/app-IDs, there's a discussions tab, and you can add ideas. If you have a great idea, but you're not a developer, share your idea. Somebody like Chow, who might have the skills to build an app, but doesn't have a real concrete idea or doesn't know what people want, can go there and actually look at it and say, oh, this is something I can envision on how to build it. So with this app IDs, I hope to create a space where people can just share kin IDs. What do you like to see? Can be several things. You can be super creative. You can think of something totally new, but probably more likely, just think about something that exists and envision it with kin. Does it work with PayPal? It might very well work with kin. Does it have fake internet points? Duolingo is my favorite, the language learning app where you get points for each level. And then if you fail, you can use these points to basically buy more lives. Or you can give your little avatar you have, you can give them a little jacket or a hat or whatever. And these kind of things are all out there. It's currently, there's like 5 discussions. It's not very big yet, but I definitely hope people share their stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, like, as developer, I mean, I spend, I guess, half an hour or an hour with it, with the SDK. I mean, you show me around, you show me the Explorer and stuff like that. But if I were to actually build an application that uses this SDK right now, I'm probably not gonna have to leave my app at all. I don't have to deal with like anything. I guess anything from the kin side of thing. I can just deal with my app, interact with the kin from my app, from within my app without leaving the application. And I think that's very, very nice. It will make a very simplest developer experience that I don't have to force my users to do anything with kin.
Yeah, you can totally hide it out of sight. Now, we do encourage people to actually give your users the ability to move the money out.
Of course. I mean, what I mean is like, hey, we use kin in this application, but to continue, you're gonna have to go to kin, or you're gonna have to go to somewhere else to create your account and stuff like that. We can just, okay, we use kin. Here's like a terms and conditions. If you agree, you click on agree, and then you click next. I'm gonna create the account for you right there and then, and that's it.
And now the thing, and you also need, so here we have the Airdrop in test network. But if you're going to build your app in production, you don't have it. But you will most likely, you will either find how somebody in your app can earn something. Let's say upload your profile pic and you give them 1,000 kin or whatever it makes sense. Let's say 1,000 kin. And complete your profile, 1,000 kin. Invite your friend, another 1,000 kin. So you can have some options, gamify it.
That is very, very, yeah.
Or just make a plan. Like if I'm an app developer and I want to publish an app, I'm most likely going to invest some money. So I can say, me as the app developer, I'm going to buy 1 million kin, and the first 1,000 people on my app are going to get 1,000 each, and I'm just going to give it to them. And this is just to incentivize. And sure, you can have people that would play it and would like, okay, I'm going to create 10 accounts. Well, okay, then you get 10,000 kin for me. Like, you might as well ask me if somebody really has 0 kin and they need 10,000. Ping me, I might give away free. This is not a giveaway, but like if this is the deal. But there's always ways around this, right? You can do phone verification, you can add email validation, etc. So
I'm thinking of like, hey, we have like a planetary nonprofit organization. If you decided to donate to Planetary, we reward you in kin and stuff like that.
There's actually an app that's called Pause For. You can pause for a cause. And the way it works, a lot of people are addicted to their phones. I know I am. And I have a hard time putting away my phone. Now, what I can do with the Pause For app is actually open the app and say, I'm going to not use my phone for an hour. And I'm going to donate this kin to a good cause. And here's planting a tree is one of them. Feed somebody, and I think rescue a puppy. There's 3 good causes that we all think like cool stuff. And it works. And I tend to do this at night when I actually want to sleep, but I have my cell phone next to it. I'm just going to put it on pause for, and I'm sure I'm not going to interrupt my puppy because I want this puppy to live. And it's like, okay, just puppy's more important than me checking out my Twitter feed, right?
Yeah.
And so Totally. And yeah, I've been watching pause for during this stream while I watch the stream. Been pausing and pause for while I watch the stream. Kinship. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think I have a few questions, but we didn't really do audience participation that much. I really, really appreciate the amount of people watching here. And I'm definitely going to continue because this is really just part of the story. And in a lot of apps, you don't have just a front end. In a lot of apps, you have a back end. So in a lot of apps, what you actually want to do with this transaction ID, if you receive it, you're going to send it to your server, right? And you receive it on the front end, you receive an app ID. This is, maybe you can verify with how an OAuth flow works, service client side, and you send back that you're authenticated. Like, you receive from the blockchain this thing, backend knows your wallet, and you're going to just handle things on behalf of this sale that happens. So, lovely comments. Jace actually told me on Twitter he's going to take off from work to watch this stream, and he said he loved it. Well, I love that you were here, Jace. We should definitely connect. You had very interesting content around crypto as well. This channel is going to be switching a little bit over the next few weeks, months, years, maybe, to do more kin. I will not stop my classic sessions, so BLS show and tell will also be a thing. And if you want to get to another new thing I did this week, my last episode was an interview with Aaron Frost that I think was pretty nice and a very, very different session than what I had normally, but I was definitely happy with it. So you want to hear about one of the biggest community creators in the Angular community, check my session. And I think with that, Chow, do you have anything to plug? Anything you want to share?
I don't have anything to plug right now.
Cool. Well, I do. Friends, go follow Chow on Twitter. He's awesome. He shares a lot of good stuff, always ready to help. Chow recently became a GDE, Google Developer Expert. Recently became a dad. Recently became a ton of things. Watch this space, you'll see more of it.
Very exciting year.
Definitely. And I think it's just getting started. Watch till Chow comes into kin, and then we'll see something. So,
oops, maybe. I'm gonna have to think of something first.
Yeah, but just start playing with it, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Well, we're in communication anyways, but yeah. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be here and be my guinea pig with this SDK. And I hope to see you all at the next time. Bye-bye, everybody.